This story is called How Kitantan Masqueraded on Purim by Sadie Rose Weilerstein. And before I begin, I need to tell you that Kitantan was a tiny boy, no bigger than your thumb, which is why his name was Kitantan, from Kitan meaning small. "Father," said Kitantan, "when you were a little boy, did you dress up on Purim and wear a mask?" "What a question. And did you go to other people's houses and sing songs?" "Of course." "Could I dress up and masquerade?" "A little fellow like you, Kitantan, you would be left behind under a doormat. But I'll make you a grogger. That will be better than masquerading." Kitantan's father took out a penknife and a bit of wood and made him a beautiful noise-making grogger. Rush, 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 went the grogger as Kitantan rolled it about. "It's nice to have a grogger," said Kitantan, "but not so nice as masquerading on Purim. I'd better go talk to Mother." Mother was in the kitchen and rolling out Imberla. Now, that's a candy which very few people know what it is nowadays, but it used to be common. She lifted Kitantan onto the table. "Could I masquerade on Purim?" asked Kitantan. "You?" said Mother. "Listen to this child. Haven't I lost you enough times already? But I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll make you a little hamantash all for yourself. See? I've been pounding the poppy seeds." She pointed to a brass mortar on the table. "Oh," said Kitantan, "poppy seed with honey?" "Honey, of course," said Mother. "What else? Now sit still, Kitantan. I'll be back in a minute." Off Mother went. Kitantan crossed his legs and waited. "A minute is a long time to wait," he said after a while. He sat still again. "I guess it must be 2 minutes. I guess it must be 9 minutes. I guess I'll just get up and take a look at that poppy seed." Up the side of a sack of flour he ran. Now he could see deep down into the mortar. He could see the pounder, the pestle, leaning against the side. "That's a good slide," said Kitantan. He loves sliding down things. "I'll slide down the pestle and take a taste of that poppy seed. Mother wouldn't mind just a little taste." The next minute his legs were over the top of the pestle, and he was sliding down. A thought popped out into his head. "I must stop before I get to the bottom. I could get stuck." But he couldn't stop. He was going too fast. Blimp! He was in poppy seed up to his waist. And there was Mother's voice coming towards him. "Where's that Kitantan? I can't seem to keep track of him today. Well, I'll have to make the hamantash in without him." Kitantan felt the mortar lifted and turned over. The next moment he was tumbling head over heels into a big bowl with poppy seed all around him. You couldn't tell which was poppy seed and which was Kitantan. "Mother, Mother!" Kitantan began, but a stream of honey was flowing over him. The words caught in the honey and stuck fast. And now a big wooden spoon came down into the bowl. It picked Kitantan up. It tossed him. It chased him. Round and round went Kitantan with the wooden spoon close behind, and it caught up to him. It lifted him up into the air. It set him down in the middle of something soft. Dough. A flat piece of dough. Kitantan was being made into a hamantash. "I must speak. I must call," thought Kitantan. "My voice. Where is my voice?" It was gone. By the time it returned, he had been slipped into a pan and was being carried off. A hamantash? That meant he would be put into an oven, a fiery furnace like Abraham and Daniel's companions. And God would not save him as he had saved Daniel's companions and Abraham, for he had disobeyed his dear mother by not sitting still. "Dear God," Kitantan prayed, "save me from the fiery oven, even if I don't deserve it." A voice was speaking. Kitantan pressed his ear to the hole in the hamantash and listened. "I'll leave the cakes on the shelf here to rise." The pan was lifted, then all was still. So he wasn't going to be put into the oven, at least not for a little while. He might yet escape. But how? He tried to move. His arms were stuck fast to his sides. "I'll eat my way out," said Kitantan. He ate and he ate and he ate. He ate so much he felt he could never look at honey or poppy seed again. The hole grew bigger and bigger. It grew so big he could stick his head out, and he could wriggle his hands loose. his arms, his legs. He was free. And far, far below from the shelf was the table. Ketantan shut his eyes tight and with some bravery jumped, landing safely into the middle of the sack of flour. But his troubles were not yet over. Creak, creak came a step across the floor. Mother, thought Ketantan, I must hide until I get this poppy seed washed off. He slipped onto a plate and hid behind a pile of imberla. Mother's voice came nearer. Father, it said, I'm going to take the shalach manos dish to the new little boy next door. He has been sick in bed ever since the family moved in. Poor little fellow. The sweets may cheer him up a bit. She threw a napkin over the shalach manos plate. Look after Ketantan, father, she said. He's somewhere about. She lifted the plate and was off. And there was Ketantan and the mishloach manos dish with cakes and candies and hamantash all about him. I wonder what is going to happen next, he thought. He was so tired, exhausted. He snuggled down at the bottom of the dish and shut his eyes. In another minute he was fast asleep. What has happened? Where am I? Said Ketantan when he opened his eyes a little later. He peered cautiously over the side of a hamantash and looked about. He was in a strange room. The dish was lying on a table near a bed, and on the bed lay a young boy propped up with pillows. Such a pale, unhappy-looking little fellow. He was staring soberly at the shalach manos, at the cakes, the Purim candies, the hamantash. But he wasn't eating, he wasn't even tasting a thing, and there was no smile on his face. Something hurt inside of Ketantan. One oughtn't to look like that on Purim, he thought. Purim is a good day, a day of gladness and feasting, a day of sending gifts to one another. The Megillah says it is. Ketantan forgot that he was supposed to be hiding. He forgot he was covered with poppy seed. He forgot he was dusted with flour. He knew only that he had to make this little boy smile. He stepped from behind the hamantash and bowed low. The boy's mouth opened and his eyes grew as big as saucers. The inside of a hamantash came alive. He stared hard. It must be a toy, he decided. I suppose there are springs inside. He reached out his hand to feel, but Ketantan sprang back. I'm not a toy, he said. I'm not the inside of a hamantash, though I was inside one, he added truthfully. I. It was then that the great thought dawned on him. I'm a Purim masquerader, and I'm dressed up in poppy seed, and I've come to other people's houses, to your house, to sing Purim songs. At that, he lifted his shrill voice and began to sing, Chag Purim, Chag Purim, Chag Purim la Yeladim. For a minute, the boy sat perfectly still and stared. Then he threw his head back and laughed. Such a happy, jolly, hearty, rollicking laugh. A regular Purim laugh. What could have happened? Cried the boy's mother, who was in the next room. I haven't heard David laugh in weeks. She hurried into the bedroom, and Ketantan's mother followed her. There was David laughing and clapping his hands, and there, in the middle of the shalach manos dish, black with poppy seed, dusted with flour, was a wee little fellow singing and dancing away. Ketantan! Cried his mother. How did you get here? What does this mean? What's going on? I'm the inside of a hamantash, said Ketantan. I'm in other people's houses. I'm masquerading as you did when you were a little girl. Please let him stay. Please, begged David. We're having such a great time. So Ketantan's mother hurried home and fetched him a clean little suit and shirt and scrubbed him and dressed him up in holiday clothing. Ketantan's father came over too. He brought a Megillat Esther, with him, and sang and read the whole story of Purim, all about the king and Mordechai and the wicked Haman, and how Hashem, with Queen Esther's help, saved the Jewish people. And instead of using a pointer, Ketantan was the pointer. Ketantan, while his father was reading, ran along under the words in the Megillah to keep the place, and every time he came to the name of the wicked Haman, he rolled his grogger, rush, rush, rush. Then they sang more songs and ate the cakes and the imberla and the hamantashen, and everybody had such a happy, wonderful Purim. Chag Sameach.